The MRI project is a comparative analysis between Orbit's, Trident, and Dentyne Ice chewing gum. Our focal product is Orbit's. We're getting a deeper understanding of which demographic segments and media vehicles we would recommend for mass marketing. High spreads. The high spreads for each demographic variable for each chewing gum. Each number is an example of buying habits or purchasing power. The bigger the number, the higher the purchasing for the specific group. According to Orbit's chewing gum graph, age, race, marital status, household income, and education has the highest spreads. These variables have the highest buying habits for Orbit's chewing gum. Segment indices. The table depicts the highest index for Orbit's gum and the specific segments within the variable, which is highlighted in yellow. An index is relative probability that the demographic segment will use the product. People between the ages of 18 through 24 has an index of 202, meaning that this specific age range is 102% more likely to purchase Orbit's chewing gum compared to other age segments. Orbit's gum product users or percent down. The percentage down is a representation of the percentage of product users in a particular segment. In this particular instance, we're looking at the highest percent of Orbit's consumer within each demographic. The following charts cover the top 5 variables. The first chart shows the different age ranges that chew Orbit's gum. The two highest age range is 18 through 24 and 25 through 34. Orbit's appeals mainly to somewhat younger audience between the ages of 18 through 34. The next graph demonstrates the different races that purchase Orbit's gum. Those who are white make up the majority of Orbit's gum consumers with the percent down of 79%. This segment also was the highest indices, which suggests a strong segment of customers. This segment also was the highest indices, which suggests a strong segment of customers. The next slide shows marital status and household income. The first graph shows the marital status of people who purchase Orbit's gum. Those who are married have the largest share of Orbit's users, while people who are engaged have the lowest. But this is probably due to the fact that people are engaged for a shorter amount of time. The household income graph shows the household income of people who purchase Orbit's gum. The largest segment of Orbit's users is people who make between $75,000 to $150,000 a year. The education graph demonstrates the level of education users of Orbit gum have obtained. The largest segment of Orbit's users have graduated college plus, with a 39.5% down. Those who have no college also make up a large portion of the market, with the percent down of 33. As you can see from the graph, 25% of Orbit's gum purchases come from ages 18 to 34. This clearly shows that Orbit appeals to a much younger audience because Orbit's has the highest percent down values in both of these age segments. Dentyne Ice had a moderate share of these two demographic segments, and Trident had the least amount of users in these two demographic segments. As age increases, Trident begins to increase its percent down. This shows that Trident is more popular among older ages starting 35 through 44 and continuing on to 65 and older.
Percent down is a percent of product users in a particular segment. Here we have the race demographic variable compared between the three bands of chewing gum. Orbit, Trident, and Dentyne Ice have a majority of users that are white. Our focal product, Orbit, has 79% of product users. Dentyne Ice has the lowest percentage of product users whose race is white, but has the highest amount of product users for all the races except Asian. This suggests that Dentyne Ice captures a more diverse amount of product users than either Orbit or Trident. Marital status is another variable we will look at. The two demographic segments that Orbit has the highest percent of users are those who have never been married at 37.2% and those who are engaged at 7.3%. Trident's users come from the two remaining marital status segments, now married and widowed, divorced, or legally separated. Dentyne Ice has the smallest share of product users because Dentyne Ice is the newest of the three chewing gum brands. Orbit seems to appeal more to those who are single or never married than those who are engaged. Another relevant variable is household income. The product users for Orbit are evenly spread out among the different household income segments, except for the income level of $75,000 to $149,999, which has 36.1% of the Orbit users. Orbit is the leader in this segment, but is followed closely by Trident, with Dentyne once again in third. The reason why this income group consists of a large amount of product users for all three of the brand is because people of this income level have the necessary disposable income to be able to spend more on higher quality products. The final demographic variable for percent down we looked at is education. The demographic segment with the highest percent down for Orbit is graduated college plus, with 35.9% of Orbit users. The segment that attended no college segment has 33% of Orbit users. This is interesting because Orbit seems to appeal both to those who have received a lot of education and to those who have received a lesser amount. Trident and Dentyne Ice capture the market that has not attended college more than the Orbit does. Orbit should continue targeting people who have attended college and those who have not in order to maintain its current market share. Different channels are needed to reach each of these demographic segments because those who attended college and graduate school tend to make more money than those who do not. So some channels that may be used to reach those who went to college may not reach those who did not. Mass marketing is a strategy in which you target the entire market and try to reach as many people as possible who could potentially be a customer. The main goal behind this type of strategy is to ensure that the greatest amount of people possible receive your message. The first demographic segment we recommend for mass marketing is adults ages 18 to 49. This demographic segment has the largest amount of Orbit users with 81.6% and also has an index of 138, meaning people from ages 18 to 49 are 38% more likely than the average population to purchase Orbit gum. The second segment we recommend for mass marketing is those who have never been married. This segment has an index of 143 but only has 37.2% of Orbit users. We chose this segment because of its high index and because a lot of the segments with higher percent down values are overlapping. For instance, women age 18 to 49 had a higher percent of product users and index than those who are never married. But if we are going to mass market to adults 18 to 49, women age 14 to 49 would be included in that group. And that is why we chose this group, because it allows us to reach out to even more people at a time. Niche marketing is targeting a very specific segment of the market containing consumers that have similar needs. Niche marketing is important because it is directly related to the 80-20 principle, which states that 80% of revenue will come from 20% of consumers. One segment we recommend for niche marketing is Asians. This demographic segment has a very high index of 170, meaning they are 70% more likely than the average consumer to purchase Orbit gum, and it also has a low percent of Orbit users. The second segment recommended for niche marketing is consumers with children that are 12 months or less. This segment has a high index of 164 and also has a 6.5% of Orbit users. It contains a slightly larger amount of potential consumers but has a smaller index than the Asian segment. These two niche segments will provide Orbit with the best chance to increase product sales. The five media vehicles that Orbit should focus on to further penetrate the market are radio, cable shows, television, magazines, and websites. The first media vehicle that we will discuss for mass marketing is radio. The first choice is shows on Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., which has 54.3% of Orbit users and an index of 109. Our second choice is shows on weekends from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., which has 47.8% of Orbit users and an index of 118. Our third choice is shows on weekends from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., which has 41.1% of Orbit users and an index of 103. Our fourth choice is shows on Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., which has 35.9% of Orbit users and an index of 108. Our final choice is shows on weekends from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., which has 33.2% of Orbit users and an index of 104. Orbit will be able to reach the most people as possible because all of these channels have high indices, and relatively high index values. Next are 5 media vehicles for cable TV channels. The first cable channel we chose is TBS, which has 31.1% of Orbit users and an index of 121. The second cable channel we picked was Food Network, which has 34% of Orbit users and an index of 126. The third cable channel we recommend is USA Network, which has 32.7% of Orbit users and an index of 119. Comedy Central is the fourth cable channel we chose, which has 32.2% of Orbit users and an index of 137. Our final cable channel chosen is ABC Family, which has 28.5% of Orbit users and an index of 119. These 5 cable channels will allow Orbit to reach the largest amount of people who will be likely to purchase Orbit gum.
The red chart shows the top 5 television shows to use for mass marketing. They are Football Pro Weekend, Football Specials Professional, Baseball Specials, Football College Weekend, and Basketball Weekend College. The best television show for mass marketing would be Football Pro Weekend with the highest percent down of 27.8% and an index of 124. The blue chart shows the top magazines to use for mass marketing. They are People, Better Homes and Gardens, National Geographic, Cosmopolitan, and Good Housekeeping. The best magazine for mass marketing would be People magazine with the highest percent down of 28.2% and an index of 141. The pink chart shows the top 5 websites to use for mass marketing. They are YouTube.com, Facebook.com, Yahoo Mail, MapQuest.com, and Weather.com. The best website for mass marketing would be YouTube.com with the highest percent down of 44.7% and an index of 156. The top 5 vehicles we have chosen for niche marketing are radio times, cable channels, television show types, magazines, and websites. For niche marketing, we have chosen the highest indices along with a comparatively higher percent down. The green chart shows the top 5 radio times to be niche marketing. They are Monday through Friday, midnight to 6 a.m., Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. to midnight, weekend, 7 p.m. to midnight, weekends, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., and Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The best radio time for niche marketing would be Monday through Friday, midnight to 6 a.m., with an index of 117 and a 5.7% of Orbit users. The yellow chart shows the top 5 cable channels for niche marketing. They are G4, Versus, Fine Living, Teen Nick, and PBS Kids Sprout. The best radio station for niche marketing would be G4 with an index of 140 and a 6.6% of Orbit users. The red chart shows the top 5 television shows for niche marketing. They are Entertainment Specials, Basketball Specials College, Awards Specials, Tennis, and Gymnastics. The best television show for niche marketing would be Entertainment Specials with an index of 139 and 8.7% of Orbit users. The blue chart shows the top 5 magazines for niche marketing. They are Self, Elle, Outside, Lucky, and First for Women. The best magazine for niche marketing would be Self Magazine with an index of 238 and 6.1% of Orbit users. The pink chart shows the top 5 websites for niche marketing. They are Twitter.com, MTV.com, Moviephone.com, Superpages.com, and iVillage.com. The best website for niche marketing would be Twitter.com with an index of 216 and 4.6% of Orbit users. Thank you for watching. That concludes our presentation.